Yeah, I'm kind of the head honcho these days.
I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get this sword.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's 8 o'clock for me, so it's still evening. Might be late night for some of you guys. Trevor, I just noticed your background. You're a hater. You're a true hater for Craig Council. Oh, my goodness.
Fly that L, baby.
I respect the hell out of it, but I just noticed it. I love it. I love it.
Got that at a parking lot in a Brewers game last year.
Oh, it's awesome. Even better. Even better. I definitely would. What was that, $20? Probably the best $20 you spent all day.
It's free.
Oh, wow. Better.
The guy was just handing them out. He was like, hey, spread the hate. Here we go.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we're going to run through a few games here. Obviously, Trevor's back. Thank you. Like I always say, nobody wants to sit here listening to me talk for 20 minutes. Really quickly, since we were talking about some bets before we went live, how about them Arkansas Razorbacks? Never a doubt, boys. Never a doubt. You just got to have a little bit of faith. Oh, man. What a game.
I was never worried. I knew they were going to win the whole time. I was like, they're spotting up some points to make it interesting. That was all they were doing.
Yep. They just needed a little adversity. And then the Ewing theory all kicked in. Who needs their best player in college basketball anymore? Anyway, let's get going with these ones. A couple good ones. Memphis, Wichita State, a game that could be decent. Memphis kind of been a quiet, I guess I could say quiet moneymaker or whatnot this year. Definitely in some spots. I don't know. What were they against Charlotte? Do you remember? I don't think they covered against Charlotte, did they?
12.5. I was on Charlotte 12.5.
Okay, so then you covered. Yeah. So, a close one. So, but now Memphis back at home after a little bit of a road trip to Temple and Charlotte, have played much better at home. Also have played some pretty decent competition at home in Louisiana Tech. I know that name doesn't really send alarm bells off for good teams, but they're still a top 120, 125 team. So it's not like they're a complete pushover. North Texas played pretty decent as well. What are your thoughts on this one? I played the over just on pace and offense alone, not to mention the fact that I know that Memphis's defense is somewhat decent, but I don't really trust them in general, especially against a Wichita State team that should be able to push the pace and doesn't turn the ball over. But I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are.
You said over, Toast?
Yeah. Yes, please. Okay. 56.5.
The one thing a couple things. I mean, Memphis does have UAB on deck, so I think they're going to be looking a little ahead to that. But also, Wichita State killed them ended their season essentially in the conference tournament last year. So I think there's going to be a little bit of motivation there. But the other thing is Memphis, their shooting has been all right lately. I mean, they're still above average compared to everyone else, but for what they've been doing, it's kind of slumped a little bit. So in that case, there's going to be rebounds to be had. I think they're going to struggle a little bit on that. Danger can't get in foul trouble. So if he's out of foul trouble, he might be able to bully down low. But Wichita State will get up for this game. I mean, they've got Tulsa on deck, so they can, similar to the Wake Forest angle, they can put all their eggs in this basket and play tough here. But 13 points with Penny Hardaway is a lot of points to lay.
Agreed.
I feel this is kind of similar to that Memphis or Charlotte game. I think maybe Memphis will come out and, exert some effort and revenge from last year, but at some point I think Wichita State will get it going, kind of clean up on the glass, lose this game by 9 points. So I haven't bet it yet, but I am tempted to bet Wichita State. Just if this was 8 or 9, maybe Memphis, but 13 points is a ton to lay with Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, I made this game Memphis -9 myself. I'm not in the business. I like getting Memphis at close to a pick or a possession, maybe even plus points. I'm not in the business of laying multiple possessions with Memphis against the Wichita. And again, the reason I played over is because pace, first of all. Wichita State 26 in average possession length, Memphis number 49. Not to mention the fact that Memphis turns the ball over a lot, which should help Wichita State, again, the team that likes to play in transition. So I feel like there should be some easy buckets for Wichita State. Like I touched on, the Memphis defense has been decent. It's really hard to like poke holes at them, but at the same time, they really haven't seen a team that really likes to push the pace like Wichita State. The last time they saw a team like that was Florida Atlantic. Obviously, that game was on the road, but that game had 162 points. Memphis scored 90 points in that game. And then as far as Wichita State on the road, their defense hasn't been good and their offense has been okay. Their last few road games, they lost 88-75, a whole bunch of points to UTSA. They lost 91-85 on the road to Temple. They lost 91-72 on the road to DePaul. 88-51 on a neutral to Florida. So my point being is that I do think that Memphis is pretty comparable to or better than all those teams' offenses that I just talked about. I just see a whole bunch of points in this game going up and down. Again, I don't really want to deal with Memphis and their defense. I do think it's a little bit overrated, and I don't want to lay points with Memphis, but I do think both teams can score. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens. I'm starting to get a little hot, guys. A little hot after today. So you never know what could happen. Shout out Cal Bears, by the way. The Cal Bears. I know you were on the other side. That wasn't a shot at you.
Yeah,
your boy needed that. Your boy needed that.
No, you were good. I had a 7-2 day anyway, so I mean it was.
Oh yeah,
fine,
who cares then? Yeah.
Stojakovic and Curtis was out. I was like, damn, okay, like those are some big pieces to be missing. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not.
I as soon as I saw that both of them were out, I was like, oh, I'm dead. So,
injury bump. I mean, that happened with Arkansas tonight too.
Yeah, that UE theory will get you every time. This is kind of a good one, especially because it's like one of those mid-major team that we don't really talk about enough probably on this show. We will as conference play goes on to it. UNC Wilmington, Charleston. Charleston, again, losing Pat Kelsey, bringing in Chris Mack. They kind of picked up where they left off last year. Again, maybe not necessarily as good as they were in the years past, but I mean, sitting at what? I don't even know, 15, 16-4 or whatnot. But I do say that this UNC Wilmington test will be their biggest test in over 2 months. So I kind of lean UNC Wilmington here. I think that I think that the marketplace still has in their head that Charleston's a good basketball team. Not trying to say that they're not, but I think that catching points with this UNC Wilmington team would be a play for me. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts on it. I just like the fact that both teams can shoot free throws, so there's no really edge there for me. You know how I like my free throws, but UNC Wilmington doesn't turn the ball over. Charleston doesn't force turnovers. And there should be a somewhat of a decent rebounding advantage for UNC Wilmington as well. So I lean UNC Wilmington. I didn't bet it yet just because I want to see where this number goes. Getting the difference between 2.5 and 3 for me in college basketball is kind of big. So if I can find a 3, I'll probably take it. But as far as right now, it's just a lean for me. What are your thoughts?
I'm with you. I like Wilmington. This is a battle somewhat for what is Wilmington? If they beat them, they're bumped up to 5-2. That'll put Charleston 5-2 also, pending William Mary. That could be a little tie up top for first place.
William Mary plays who? Hampton, who's terrible.
I'm on William and Mary tomorrow. I think they're going to roll him. But yeah, I like Wilmington. They've got size to kind of battle with Brzovic. Brzovic, I think, is probably going to do whatever he wants for the most part. He's an awesome player. If you haven't seen him, it's going to be fun. But I mean, Charleston gets the 3. Wilmington doesn't defend that, but Wilmington can force turnovers. They don't foul. So I think, offensively, they're going to have to fight an uphill battle here a little bit. But I think the motivation factor and the fact that Chris Mack and some of these guys haven't seen this team from last year yet, I think they're not going to be fully prepared for the intensity that Wilmington does bring to this game here. So I like Wilmington outright. Given the spot, I know it's on the road, but it's a short spread too. Like Charleston at home only laying 2. It opened 3. It's already down to 2. So there's money coming in on Wilmington already. So I grabbed Wilmington 2.5 already. I'm on it tomorrow. I think they're actually going to win this game, but I will take the 2 points just bearing some free throws coming late.
I mean, if anybody watching this has probably watched college basketball, those 2.5 points can come in very valuable at the end of the games for sure. I just wanted to add, I just think that Devon Newby, the point guard for UNC Wilmington is just so much better than what you're going to get from either CJ Fulton or that Dila Quick Travaz kid, or however you pronounce his name. I'm sure I butchered it, but I do think there's a pretty significant guard advantage for UNC Wilmington, which I think, going to your point of Charleston really not understanding how good these guys are, could play a factor here today. So I'm going to actually probably jump on that as soon as we get off this show, just so I can make sure I get a full 2. So next game up, Beaver. Illinois, the team that just can't seem to, couldn't lose to start the year. Now have lost 2 out of 3. Again, hard to, I don't really know what to think of them right now. I know that Jack Achunas has, if I butchered that name, I'm sorry, dude. But I know that he's been in and out of the lineup. I know he's been back at least the last 2 games, has been kind of was a shell of himself against Michigan State. I think had 3 points or something like that, maybe even 0 points, like an absolute no-show. Part of that was the foul call. I was on our foul calls that he had against him. He was in foul trouble that whole game. I kind of lean the Illini here. I don't really like laying a ton of points to this Maryland team, but at the same time, I do think it could be a little bit of a recipe for disaster, because Maryland has 2 guys in Queen and Reese that if you can really stop them, I don't really worry about Gillespie as much. If you can stop them, you're going to be all right. And that's the one thing that at least I know that I and Andy has preached on when he was here, and I'm sure you can probably agree to this, is that when you face a team like Illinois, they have guys that are essentially 6'6". Their water guy is 6'7". So, it's just one of those situations where all that size that Maryland usually has a huge advantage on, they don't have that here today. And Maryland also likes to play at a fast pace. Well, unfortunately for them, so does Illinois, and they have better players to do it. So I think I like Maryland in a bounce back here. Illinois in a bounce back spot here after losing 2 of the last 3. I haven't played it yet. I kind of want to see where this line goes. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one, because in my head, Illinois should beat this team by 15 plus.
Yep, this is an Illinois smash spot. Coming off the loss at Michigan State, the last home game, they lost outright to USC when they were laying like 13 points. Yep. So the last time they were in this building, they lost, and they're coming off a loss. I think this is a recipe for disaster for Maryland. Like you said, the size and length for Illinois they can match you any spot on the floor. So there's not going to be really a big advantage there. Yes, you could argue down low with Reese and Queen, like you'd said, they're awesome. But Jack Achunas was also when he played 9 minutes last game and fouled out.
Yeah.
So a little home whistle there for Michigan State, but that's not going to happen. I think he's going to have a monster game. Boswell is really good. Also, he finds the open guy. They're going to run and gun. They're going to force turnovers. So I like Maryland, Illinois here to rout them, like you said, by like 15 plus. I don't think it's going to be entirely close.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny that you mentioned Boswell, because I was just having a conversation with somebody that used to watch him a lot at Arizona. And the fact that he just can't find the stroke from deep, you got to assume, and again, I could just be talking conjecture here, but you got to assume that's going to come around. He shot 38% last year at Arizona. He shot 39% the year before that at Arizona, and he's shooting 25% from deep this year. What is it? Let's see, 2 for 15 his last 15 shot attempts from deep. So I agree with you. And I only think that Boswell's only going to continue to get better. I think he's kind of trying to find himself here, and he's starting to find it. So I agree. Illinois absolutely in a smash spot. So
yep. Maryland's 3-point defense isn't anything special. So maybe he's taking some time to adjust to the new building at State Farm there, but like you said, he's going to find it at some point. Maybe it comes tomorrow. Even if it doesn't, I don't think Illinois is going to struggle too much in this one. They're going to be motivated to alleviate those losses.
I also think really quickly, not to stay on this game for super long, but I also think, I know the step up in competition for Maryland is pretty big. Keep in mind that UCLA win looks somewhat decent, but we all know that team has been pretty garbage, or at least was really garbage at the time they played him. Minnesota sucks. Northwestern isn't good. And I keep on telling you guys, Nebraska isn't good. They just lost again. It's outright at home again to USC. So again, a pretty significant step up in class for Maryland. I think the last couple weeks they've played some really bottom feeder teams, and so now this is going to be a rude awakening for them. So next game up, Beaver, looks like we got some West Coast basketball on our hands here. Trevor, you want to go first on this one? Because I think I don't know, this is a coin flip to me. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
What's the number on this?
I'm gonna get an
San
updated one
Francisco.
right now, just to see. I just had it up. Where did it go? San Francisco plus 10.5. And we were sitting.
10.5. Are you kidding
That's
me?
what I'm saying. Like, what? Am I missing something here?
Is somebody hurt or what the hell? I mean,
I see
what?
nothing. I mean, and honestly, I know that I'm sure a lot of people don't know the San Francisco roster, but if Malik Thomas, Marcus Williams, and Carlton Lingard are playing, that's all that really matters. I'd like Tyrone Riley in there, but I mean, San Francisco would have to be losing one of their, best players for me not to consider them. I mean, yeah, I'll let you finish, but yeah, St. Mary's has played nobody since December.
Yeah, I mean, in that their best opponent, LMU, they smoked. LMU was off of the Oregon State win, so there was that was kind of a bad spot for Oregon State. But yeah, I mean, San Francisco is a good team. Like I know on the road they just got smoked by Santa Clara. Santa Clara also went to Gonzaga and just won. So Santa Clara is not a bad team. They're pretty good. I know they lost by 9 to Washington State, 2 at the road on Bradley. Like Bradley's a good team. Like especially at home, they can blow the doors off the team. So. They played them tight. This 10.5, like this feels like a lot of points for absolutely no reason. St. Mary's, like they're good, but they don't play fast. And San Francisco's great defense. They have a good offense. They have guards that can manufacture buckets and get to where they want and set up offense to run it here. St. Mary's, this 10.5. What is if St. Mary's covers 10.5? San Francisco scoring what? 58 to 62 points.
Yeah, like 50. Like
yeah, probably even lower than that. I mean, that makes no sense. I'm taking San Francisco tomorrow. If St. Mary's blows them out by 15, so be it. But that's disrespectful to this Dons team.
It's disrespectful, and it seems like this number continues to move up a little bit. I think it opened at like 8.5 or 9. That 8.5 might have been like a true opening number, like nobody could even actually bet it. But regardless, they're taking money. But yeah, I agree. Both teams play extremely slow. St. Mary's one of the slowest teams in the nation. San Francisco 232, so it's not like they're getting up and down the floor. I mean, again, so San Francisco does have a little bit of an issue turning the ball over, but in a game like this, I don't really know how much I really worry about St. Mary's turning San Francisco over a bunch. These teams know each other pretty damn well, especially the coaches know each other pretty damn well. Neither team has a significant free throw shooting advantage. I will take the San Francisco offense higher than I'll take St. Mary's offense. I'm sure that St. Mary's offense numbers look decent, and I will give them that. But at the same time, I just feel like San Francisco has been tested, especially over the last couple of weeks. Washington State, Santa Clara, Pepperdine, Oregon State, Portland. I mean, again, that's not a who's who of who you're playing, but Trevor just talked about some of the spots that St. Mary's has gotten wins over. Oregon State, I mean, obviously has been playing some pretty decent basketball. That's a decent win for San Francisco. You talked about the Santa Clara one. Washington State is kind of like one of those teams that shows up randomly. They caught them on a night that they showed up, but yeah, I mean, look at who St. Mary's is playing. Pepperdine, San Diego, Loyola Marymount, Portland, Pepperdine, St. Pacific, obviously before, and then they got smoked by Utah State before that. I mean, so really, anytime that St. Mary's has played a team with a pulse, they've lost. I mean, their best win is a Nebraska team in the first 4 games of the year that I keep on telling you guys. Nebraska's not good, USC's not good, and Utah's freaking terrible. The fact that Utah's a top 100 team is an absolute joke. We just saw them today just get absolutely blown out by 40 points, and I'm not exaggerating. I think they lost by 40. So again, I just feel like not only is it a huge step up in class for San Francisco, the pace of this game is going to be slow. I mean, if you're playing St. Mary's, if you really think, if you're in this spot where you think this is a smash spot for St. Mary's, I would play San Francisco team total under before I laid 10.5 with St. Mary's personally. So I don't think that, I think that if you bet on St. Mary's, you want to bet on their defense shutting San Francisco down. You don't want to worry about their offense having to score. That's again, so we'll see what happens. I will say St. Mary's does have a pretty significant rebounding advantage, so that might play a little bit into it. But even then, it should. I made this same 6.5. There's no way in hell that San Francisco should be catching 10.5 points here. So unless they're just have just a terrible night. So
I mean, if their big man gets in foul trouble, because I mean, San Fran does foul a lot, so if St. Mary's is going to get the home whistle, they're kind of screwed if Lingard goes down with foul trouble for size advantage down low. Because St. Mary, what are these two guys? 6'10", 7'1", 7-1. They
Yeah.
have size all over this, so that could be an issue. But 10.5 is just too disrespectful for San Francisco. This is a good team.
Yeah, if you guys are watching this game and Carlton Lingard has foul trouble and San Francisco has to play James O'Donnell, the Aussie, just go ahead and live bet the other St. Mary's right away. So, because that dude is just cannot. It's like he's a deer in the headlights in America right now. Yeah. So, anyway, next game up, Santa Clara, fresh off of the Gonzaga ass whooping. You guys know I'm a Gonzaga homer. I keep on telling you guys this team is not good. There's something. There's a division in the locker room. There's a division but the coaching staff. It's just not a very good spot or a place for Gonzaga basketball. But that was a really, really good win. Santa Clara was like a 15.5 point underdog. So to come in there and lose that game, especially after losing a game against Loyola Marymount that they should have never lost. They just never showed up to that game. Again, maybe a bad spot after 2 of their last 3 going into overtime before that game. But I kind of lean Washington State here. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. I just don't really like backing this Washington State team on the road. They haven't really been tested this way. And when they have went on the road, it's been pretty damn bad. I know they played Gonzaga close, but at the same time, they lost pretty bad to Washington. I don't think that Nevada is a very good basketball team. Again, Utah State's good, but Nevada's getting absolutely blown out by 30 tonight. So it's just really hard for me to trust this Cougar team on the road. Again, do I trust Santa Clara with laying? What's the number that they're laying? 4.5.
5.
So yeah, multiple possessions after the Gonzaga game. Not really. I don't know. Your thoughts?
That's where I'm kind of caught up on. They just beat Gonzaga in the kennel. You know for a fact that they celebrated when they got back, especially that was a Saturday night game, so they got back, and they definitely celebrated. But Santa Clara at home blows teams out. I mean,
I know.
Granted, some of these teams aren't comparable. Oregon State, they did go to overtime, win by 1, but they blew out San Francisco by 23 at home. A decent Kennesaw State team by 20. Riverside, they blew up by 42. They just have that ability, but that's what I'm caught up on is that Gonzaga spot. Do they come back with Oregon State on deck and get up for Washington State? I think they kind of do. I like the Santa Clara team. They've been printing me money this year. I bet on them a bunch, and they come through. So I think they can. I mean, Christopher Tilley is just that. When that dude's on, it's going to be tough to beat them no matter who you are. That dude's awesome. They shoot the ball well. They rebound. They don't foul on defense. It's just a spot where it all comes down to, are they going to be focused and ready for this game? Which I think they will, because they did beat Oregon State. So I don't think they're going to overlook Washington State, who happens to be one of the better teams in the WCC for the year. And they only get a shot at them once or twice whenever they play them this year. And then they're going to bounce to the new Pac-12 next year. So I think this is a spot they get up, and they do get the win here. But it's just tough to back them after you win at Gonzaga and then you come home. So,
and part of the reason that I can't play, or I haven't played Washington State, and what's bothering me is that not that Santa Clara is some defense that forces a whole bunch of turnovers, but Washington State's very, very sloppy with the ball. Their offense is very good, but they are extremely sloppy with the ball, and they don't shoot free throws well. But at the same time, they do punish teams inside, and that's one area that Santa Clara hasn't been great at. So it's a pretty decent lean to Washington on the spot, and the fact that I think that they can run with Santa Clara. But again, if Santa Clara is up for this game, they could blow Washington State out. So, but again, it's a pretty decent lean to Washington State. I feel this is like the Texas A&M Ole Miss game all over again, where my gut tells me to take the points. It should be a close game throughout, and I'm probably just not going to get there. And Washington State's probably going to win outright. But so be it. I lean Washington State here on the spot. But again, I don't know. We'll see. If it gets to 6, then I'll probably have to jump, just because I'm getting a full 2 possessions at least. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it happens. Beaver, I think that's it for the midnight stream.
All righty.
So we'll be back. Live show. Everything's normal schedule. Beaver's got everything taken care of. Producing
Yes,
the
sir.
hell out of everything's. Trevor, thank you again for taking your time out of your day. I know you had your pod and stuff before this, so again,
problem.
greatly appreciated. yeah, Beaver, take us home.
All right, everybody, we'll see you for our regularly scheduled programming at 4 p.m. tomorrow. In the meantime, stay goated and let's get some CLV on our